What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. For anybody new, I am Matt Loon, and this is my Tackle Tip Tuesday segment. If you've been liking the Tackle Tip Tuesday stuff, make sure to give the video a like. Today's video is all about what you need to be throwing right now in July, in the summertime, baits that have been working for me on my recent trips out on the water. Videos that you guys haven't even seen yet, and I'm giving you the juice on what baits that you need to be throwing in order to go out there and catch fish yourself. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're in a boat or if you're on the bank. These baits are going to be ideal for either one of those situations. It doesn't matter if you're pond fishing or not. You can kind of modify what we're going to be talking about in today's video to meet your specific conditions. The first thing that I like to throw when I first get to the lake in the morning is, of course, a topwater bait. I've been catching a lot of buzzbait fish. This is the 6 Sense Dogma. I've also been catching it. It's in the 100 size. I also have it in the larger size as well, but I just recently got some in this size because I think it's gonna mimic some of the bait fish that I have in my waters a little bit better. Another sleeper bait that I think could be really good in the summertime is this 6 Sense Speed Wake. I really like this bone color, but if you have perch or your bluegill or one of your primary forages, then get whatever color is going to suit your lakes as well. But in the morning, you can't beat topwater. This bait's going to be waking right on the top. This bait's going to be walking across the surface. And then another sleeper bait that I don't think gets thrown enough is a buzzbait. I have been smashing fish on buzzbaits this year, and I definitely think that you guys need to be incorporating buzzbaits into your morning fishing, especially if you haven't been already. But the Speed Wake and the Dogma are some of my go-tos in the morning during the summertime. Another bait that I think that you guys need to have on your deck or in your arsenal while you're fishing in the summertime is, of course, a frog. I don't have a frog here in my possession to show you guys right now, but a frog is a big fish bait, and a frog is something that could be a game changer for your day out on the water. If you have matted grass or anything like that in your lakes, you definitely need to throw a frog. If you're around ponds or something like that, a frog is going to be a great bait for you guys as well. One thing that I noticed about summertime is usually there's a bite up shallow early in the morning, and then as that morning starts to go on, as that sun starts to rise up, those fish start to move deep. They move into some of that deeper grass. They might move a little bit deeper onto some rock piles. Now, when I say deep, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be in that 15 to 30 foot range like I am. Deep for you could be 10 foot. It could be 15 foot. So when I say deep, just put it in perspective on the lakes that you fish. Where I fish, deep is anywhere between 15 to 30 foot. In the wintertime, it's going to be even deeper than that. But in the summertime, I think that 15 to 30 foot range is ideal. And some of my favorite baits to throw in that depth range from basically 15 to 25 are going to be crankbaits. Crankbaits by far are some of my favorite baits to fish in the summertime. I like to find rock piles, and depending on the depth is going to be depending upon what bait I'm going to throw. This is the Cloud9 C25 from 6 Sense. This thing's going to get down 25 feet. I caught a couple fish on this today, as a matter of fact. Another great bait that I like to throw a lot is the Cloud9 C20. It all depends on what depth range your cover is in. If the cover's in 15, I'm going to be throwing that C15 from 6 Sense. If it's in 20, that's when I'm going to go to that 20 footer. If it's 25, that's when I'm going to go to the 25 foot crankbait. So try those crankbaits, find that offshore structure, find those rock piles, and start targeting those areas with a crankbait. It's a great way to catch some reaction fish. And then the next bait is something that we can kind of clean up on those spots after we catch some fish on the crankbaits. So a great way to catch fish when they're offshore on that deep structure is a big worm. You can't go wrong with a big worm in the summertime. This is the 6 Sense Ridge Worm. This is one of my favorite baits to throw right now. I've been catching fish on it the last couple of weeks, been pairing it up with a 1/2 ounce 6 Sense pitch black tungsten weight 5/0 hook, and you're gonna wanna go EWG so that way this thing can slide down and get a lot of good hook penetration. 15-pound fluorocarbon is what I've been fishing it, and with this 1/2 ounce weight, you can definitely fish it down to 30 foot, no problem. A big worm in the summertime is not only a way to get a lot of bites, but you can catch the fish of your life. You could catch your PB in the summertime fishing a big worm like this. When you're fishing a big worm like that, you're gonna have to let the fish eat it a little bit longer. You're gonna get that initial bite, and you might have to let them take it a little bit longer than you normally would because they gotta get that whole worm into their mouth. I've found that it's very easy to set the hook too soon, and you end up pulling that tail off. The fish has the tail in their mouth, but they don't have the whole bait, and you set the hook and you end up pulling that tail off. So let the fish eat that bait a little bit longer, and you're gonna have a much better hookup ratio for sure. Another bait that I love to throw in the summertime is a shaky head. I like to throw it on the shaky heads I make myself with my do-it molds, or on a little bit heavier shaky head like the Divine shaky heads from 6th Sense. I like to pair it up with the Divine shaky worm or some of the worms that I pour on in my El Gusano mold. I've caught a lot of fish in the summertime on a shaky head, targeting those same offshore structures like I am targeting with that big worm and those crankbaits. One other thing to keep in mind when you're fishing in the summertime is look for shade. Shade could be created by grass lines, it could be created by steep banks, rock piles, it doesn't really matter, but look for the shade. Those fish are gonna be sitting in the shade, and if you cast your bait into those shade pockets, I guarantee you, you're gonna start getting some bites if you've been struggling. Those fish just wanna sit in that shade. It gives them a little bit of a darker area where they can ambush that prey and feed on an easy meal, and you're gonna cast your bait into that shade pocket. That fish is gonna be sitting there, and it's gonna have no choice but to eat that bait. So look for shade, and it's gonna help you get more bites for sure. So one other tip for you guys is don't spend too much time in one spot. I'm really finding that when I'm getting to a new spot, those fish are either gonna eat right away or they're not gonna eat at all. So don't spend too much time, make some casts, get some bites. If you don't get bit, move on to the next spot. So guys, I think if you take this top water in the morning approach, top water in the evening, deeper water throughout the rest of the day, you're gonna catch a lot of fish this summer, and throwing big baits like crankbaits and those big worms, you might just catch your personal best this summer as well. Big fish are gonna bite. Brett Cannon just caught a 12-pounder on that 6th Sense ridgeworm that I just told you guys about out on Sam Rayburn recently. So that big worm might just catch you your personal best. For more Tackle Tip Tuesday videos, make sure to hit that playlist, and please subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. And if you have any questions after watching this, make sure to leave questions down in the comments as well. And if you like today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. See ya!